Yeah, so there are a lot of these different characteristics of an entrepreneur. Again, I'll send this over to you guys. There's also an article that accompanies that video, so feel free to give that a read. I also gave another example of this video called Kane's Arcade, which is an interesting tidbit. Again, we're running short on time now. This is like a 10-minute video, so I'm not going to show the whole thing, or not even going to show it, but I'm going to send it to you guys. And it's a story about this little kid, Kane, who lives in he lives in downtown LA, and his dad owns this junk shop. I don't know. This video went viral a while back. You guys may have seen it. And he's this kid who created this little arcade with just like cardboard boxes and things like that, and he tried to run a little business ring out of it. And it is a perfect example of facing constraints. You know, this is a kid. He's like 8 years old. He doesn't have the technical expertise to run an arcade, but he wanted to pursue an opportunity regardless. And then this guy comes along, and he checks the place out, and it turns out this guy's a reporter. So he goes there, he tries it out, and he was just so impressed by Kane's commitment and relentless pursuit of this opportunity, this idea. So he made this Facebook page, and then it went viral, went huge. Hundreds of people ended up going to this like small junkyard and play at Kane's Arcade. Even like NBC picked up on it, and it just went viral. It was an amazing example of entrepreneurship amongst young people, and it's a really cute story too. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Takeaways? I unloaded a lot of opportunity. I guess a good question to ask is, when I asked you guys at the beginning what entrepreneurship was all about, has that changed? Is it more or less the same?
No, it's definitely changed.
Yeah. How so?
Well, like you mentioned extrovert, and I would think extrovert is something good to have, like especially if you're pitching ideas, you're coming up with ideas. But now, like based on the video, it's like, well, you don't necessarily need to have that. There's like so many other characteristics that you should have. It's not always going like with the status quo. It's like trying to find like breakaways and
exactly
that. Being a troublemaker, which is something I wouldn't necessarily think would be appealing, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Any other kind of observation?
Just that there's many more aspects than you think that could make a successful business person.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely thought the point about being okay with failure and recovering, that's such a big thing. Such an important philosophy.
It's funny you bring that up because failure is something that we embrace in the entrepreneurship community here in Vancouver, in Metro Vancouver. There's this organization called Radius, which is they help fund not-for-profits and social ventures, which are they're for-profit companies, but they function similar to non-profits in that they provide more kind of like solutions faced by society. And they have this event every year called a failure walk, or like a failure kind of like a wake, a failure wake, not a walk, a wake, kind of like a funeral. And they bring in entrepreneurs to come in and talk about failure, about their own failures. And it's so widely embraced because in entrepreneurship, it's all about A/B testing. So, and what I mean by A/B testing is you have an idea or an assumption about the market, assumption about this is a need that's being faced, my solution is the best need for that, this is how I'm going to be making money, this is my business model, and then you pursue that. And then you validate these assumptions over time, but you fail. And then, say you do fail, so you iterate. You don't mope around and dwell on that failure. You change, you pivot over time. And then there's this amazing definition of what a startup is. Because believe it or not, a startup is not actually a company, it's not an actual business. It's a temporary organization that's in the pursuit of a repeatable and scalable business model. So as a startup, you're going through all these different changes, these pivots, failing really fast, and learning from these failures until you reach a point where you have a business that's scalable and that can actually turn into a real company. So with that said, I'd like to talk a little bit about my own entrepreneurial story, the failures that I faced, the pivots that we've taken as a company, a little bit about that whole shebang. So, I don't know, are these still a thing for you guys? Does this look familiar to you guys? I know, back in the day, right? Back in the day when I was in elementary school, that's kind of like where I started in entrepreneurship. I was like one of those kids on the playground in elementary school dealing Pokemon cards. funny enough, I was one of those kids that actually got banned from the school because like I made this kid cry because I took his like shiny Pokemon card or something like that. Or anyways, so I had this like, and it's funny because like as elementary kids, you know, we didn't have money and stuff, so we actually had this like funny barter-like system where we would trade cards, right? And then so that's kind of where I got my foot in entrepreneurship at a very young age. Moving on past that, in high school I was big in music, so I actually started my own piano studio out of my own my house, and then I would charge people like $20 an hour for a lesson. This was around like grade 10, grade 11ish, and then I made a decent profit. You know, like as a high school kid, you know, $20 a week. It's like it's pretty decent, you know. And then it brings me to now. This happened. I go to school at SFU. This is at Surrey campus, which is kind of like the hub of innovation and entrepreneurship within that university specifically. And it's interesting because the city of Surrey had turned, slide pictures of Surrey. Contrary to what the popular belief is, I guess, I'm not going to say all that stuff, but Surrey is interesting in that it's slowly becoming, or it already has become, this hub of innovation. There's a lot of these amazing technologies coming out of this place. And what's interesting is at the hub, at the center of this the epicenter of all this innovation is a university, because that's where all the grad students are developing their stuff. That's where they're commercializing the grad projects. Like there's this amazing startup that came out of this university where this girl, her name is Marion, she turned her grad project into one of the most successful startups based out of Vancouver right now. It's called MetaOptima, and they developed this device that would take pictures of moles. It's like an extension onto your iPhone or whatever, and it would take pictures of the moles and tell you if you have early stages of skin cancer. It went huge. She raised a ton of money, and they're like booming right now. So it was at university where my entrepreneurship hit its peak, and I just wanted to include some pictures of like some of the things that I have done and the people that I met along the way. It's so important to surround yourself with amazing people who support you along the way. Again, this is an amazing time for you guys because Vancouver is becoming this hub of innovation. There's so much support right now. There's so much growth in this community. So many amazing ideas coming out of things. And if entrepreneurship is something that you want to go down, you have all the resources in the city to support you, to get you to where you are. So I wanted to include a little bit some of my own stuff. I'm in this program called the Technology Entrepreneurship Program. So it's a program that matches fourth-year business students with fourth-year engineering mechatronics students. And in this two-semester program, we work on developing technologies and commercializing them essentially in two semesters, so that's like 6 months. In 6 months' time, you go from developing a product, finding the needs in the market, determining if this product is something that's even commercially viable, and launching at the end of the program. So by the end of the summer, actually we're launching 2 companies. So there's AuraSense, which Sean talked about, and I'm also working on this other company for this program. And what we're developing is an app-controlled fish tank monitoring device, and we're calling it the Triton. It uses cartridges that would have chemicals in it, and it would take water samples from a fish tank, run chemical tests on them, take that data, and send it to your phone. So if you're a fish tank owner, you actually really care about your fish, and their, I guess, willingness to pay is actually very high. We determined a price point for this. It's about $400 per device. It's a very, surprisingly very lucrative market. And you think fish people, right? Like, it's kind of weird. I thought so too. And it's funny because you never really know where these ideas come from until you explore the market. So that's kind of the big thing about that. And one of the big takeaways I have from this program. Another big thing too, surrounding yourself with advisors, mentors. You know, one of the things I talked about is surround yourself with people who know more than you. So over time, I've talked to various professors, industry professionals, people with experience in tech. So this is a picture of all of AuraSense's board advisors. Amazing people with experience in tech, government policy, other entrepreneurs, things like that. And with their support, we were able to get to where we are today. Another amazing program is this thing called Venture Connection. They're based out of SFU. I'm not sure if UBC has a similar program, which is an early stage incubator. it's called an incubator because students with ideas, they would take their ideas and go into this program. They'll be partnered with a mentor and work on their business, basically. These kind of programs, there's tons of them in the city. That's one of the things I'm talking about, why it's such a good time to start your own business at a young age, because there's so much support. And I call it an entrepreneurial renaissance that's happening in the city. And it's amazing. There are lots, people want to help each other out here. So yeah, my business idea, AuraSense, we're developing the world's first app-controlled scent diffuser. So you guys ever been to Sage? And you see those devices where like smoke comes out of it and it smells all nice?
The little volcano things?
Yeah. So we're developing our own, except it's the first of its kind that's controlled through a mobile app. And you can actually mix and match different oils, essential oils, to create your own fragrances. So, not going into the exact technology because I can't quite disclose that, but users are able to mix and match and load little cartridges in those holes at the top there, and it would release through an intricate system of pumps. The oils will be released into a pool of water inside. Again, this is proprietary, so I can talk about this. But the water is vibrated, with the water with the oils mixed into it, it's vibrated to a point where it evaporates. So that's how that technology works. And we're the first of its kind that lets you mix their own oils. So it's kind of another very strange idea. So like, Kevin, you're doing fish, but you're also doing smells, right? Like, very obscure ideas. They came out of opportunities. There's this huge trend right now in tech. There are lots of trends. There's like big data, there's Internet of Things, and the trend that we're kind of capitalizing on right now is called the Internet of Things. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of technologies coming out today where everything's connected by your phone. Smartphones, smart thermostats, smart cars. Like apparently the rumor is Apple is developing a car that's controlled by your phone. Smart houses. People are like automating things. And that's kind of where this inspiration came for AuraSense. I found that people are controlling lighting systems. People are controlling sound systems. It's a very sensory experience, right? But no one was really quite targeting smell or scent. And that's where we found our little niche. And that's where we found the value point that we're providing for this market. So just some screenshots of our app and our device. This is Jasmine, or Jazzy Pants. So she's kind of playing around with her morning citrus device. Again, users are able to create scents. And one of the things that we found is kind of interesting about this market is they're big on social media. They love sharing stuff, sharing content. So one of the things we're doing is these fragrances that people create, they can actually take these fragrances and share them on a social platform that we're developing. And again, creating that network effect, which is so popular nowadays. And then